Yeah, I think that if you wanted a finicky alignment in different places, that would take an inordinate amount of. Here, of course, it'd be fine.
Not really.
But as you said, in many of those instances, you simply wanted them not to align.
Just not to align.
Right.
Here, for example, I wrote a triplet and then some 16ths, and there's a septuplet and some quarters. I don't really mean these to be.
No, right. But a conductor's default assumption about that is that you simply want a composite effect.
Yeah, exactly.
And so he's not going to sweat those details so much.
Yeah.
And
even if they made a mistake, I couldn't hear it. I wouldn't be able to hear it.
Yeah. Sometimes the players don't know.
Yeah.
Unless they're guided by that.
Yeah.
I think the only concern is in certain sections if they get lost.
I thought about that.
If they miss a measure, then it's going to.
I thought about that. So here's what I did.
They don't have their moorings.
I have occasionally in measure 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I have a fermata. So that's a point where they can get together again.
Right.
Then there's another one in 23. And then there is another one in 33 or so, 34. And then there is another one, in 45. So once in a while, I have these fermatas. There's another one in 57. And then I had to...
Well, the fermata, and the fermatas are...
Full measure or half measure?
Yes, but they're silenced. They're the grand pauses, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can get together there. Once we leave that world and there is continuous music, they can get together by listening to the cells. If they get lost, they can figure out where their place is.
And do they? The parts are not cued, I assume, with that.
No. But there's not a lot of rests.
No, but they'll hear this sign.
They'll hear the cell, and then around measure.
And presumably there's a conductor who's.
I'm sure it will be fine.
Keeping them.
I'm sure it will be fine. And then this middle section can be tricky, but it's not too long. It's just about. There's another fermata in 151, so I think I kept the fermata here. I'm not sure if I kept it in the final version. But there are moments, and later on in the piece, there are moments when people will get a chance, players will get a chance to get together and meet. I thought about that.
I didn't happen to notice this in the percussion where there are quick.
Not really.
Quick changes.
No. I try to be reasonable. With all these things.
Yeah, well, it seems eminently practical, which is always a pedantic consideration for
of course, I try
for an artist. But
there are moments like this.
Now, when you say, let's go back just for a moment. You say unity of pitch. Do you mean that they're not coming from the same?
They are basically a bunch of immigrants going to a country without a president. There's no sense of a center or a logic or a hierarchy of any sort. It's just, like individuals that are trying to find a way to work together, but they don't have a common ground or fabric.
And in fact, in your actual decision about the notes.
It was just intuition.
That's intuition rather than being generated by the overtone spectrum.
Just playing on the piano, and if I want a gesture that goes up, for example, just to explain how I came up with this, and then in the flute, okay, I think it's pretty, but if I played something like this, it would be totally different. So I said, okay, that's too simple. Then if I do something like this, perhaps that's a little bit too simple too. So I wanted a little bit of space between the notes, but the space was unequal. There's a large interval, a medium one, a tritone. So that's how I chose,
Well, I guess what I was thinking is there's a subtle distinction between meandering lines where the actual notes in the line are derived from the upper part of the overtone series, so they are actually closely spaced.
Yes.
Versus meandering lines that are intuitively arrived at where maybe it's very similar notes. And one you're calling sounding kind of random.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other one you're sounding
is organized, let's say, defined by some kind of a rule.
Right.
Or
and we will hear this and just
we'll
respond to it.
That's the whole theory.
Right.
And if you look at these pitches here, they are in the right order. Exactly how they are presented, but I'm taking out the ones that are repeated. So this is out, this is in, this is out, this is in, out, in, out, in, out, in. So and there is a little bit of a vibration, a long vibration coming from the glockenspiel, the vibes, and the piano. And that's
I'm sorry, a little vibration,
like held vibration, because the flute is going to play this, and that's it. It's a little dry, but the vibes are going to do this. And glockenspiel, and held it down, hold the pedal down, and then these guys are going to last,
to
vibrate.
I thought you meant actually, vibrato.
Yes, like this. So there's a sense of a bell ringing longer that comes from the piano and the percussion. Otherwise, it would be too dry.
Who were some of your influences? Not with this work particularly necessarily, but stylistic alignments and stuff.
Well, I have to say Ligeti, and over the time I have gotten closer and further away from other composers. I remember in the 90s I used to listen to a lot of Lutosławski. And more recently I started listening to composers that are not interested in that type of music, and Xenakis would be one of them. I like Ligeti still very much, and everything that he's done, early or late, the orchestral stuff, the chamber music, is just so beautifully written.
And it holds up for you as you've heard it over the years.
And I like Bartók very much, and I like certain pieces by Stravinsky.
The late pieces?
Yeah, the early works, actually.
The early?
I think that I like Donatoni recently. More recently, I started listening to Donatoni, Franco Donatoni. Right? He keeps writing the same piece over and over again. He wrote, I think, more than 40 chamber works that are based on similar textures that keep changing all the time. I'm looking forward to the first rehearsal, which is usually one of the most amazing experiences that one composer could have, just being there with the musicians and hearing the music they wrote. That day, that Tuesday, will be a very good day for me.